Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca, pronouns she, her, and I am one of the co-directors of the Notebooks Collective. Founded in 2021, we are a virtual literary arts space focused on community, connection, and continued learning. This is our last in conversation of 2025. We wrap up 11 events this year, and we will be announcing our 2026 lineup soon, which will include not only in conversations, but new offerings as well. The Notebooks Collective believes that Black Lives Matter and acknowledges that as a virtual organization, our offices are on the lands of the Nipmuc, Kickapoo, Agawam, Massachusetts, and Pawtucket tribes. Native peoples across the world continue to preserve and celebrate their cultures, and we encourage you to support Native writers and artists. As we do this land acknowledgement, we want to recognize those who are suffering from conquest and terror across the globe and in our own country. Our thoughts are with them. We know that these are extremely stressful times, and we are so glad that you have joined us tonight to celebrate creativity and community. I will now welcome Lisa to introduce our speakers.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lisa. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the other half of the team here at the Notebooks Collective. I have the pleasure of introducing Nicole and Zoe. Collaboration is a big word. At 5 beats, it's half of a traditional sonnet line. At its best, I imagine that equity is the soul of collaboration, an equal sharing of a workload, a meeting in the middle, a way of moving on the page that allows you to be both seen and to discover. There's a curiosity, a leaning into something you may not have started but found a kernel of truth in anyway. Or if not that, something interesting or weird or outrageous enough to follow. Nicole Callihan and Zoë Ryder White have been collaborating since the 90s. Elsewhere, their collaborative chapbook that won the Sixth Finch Chapbook Contest in 2019 wasn't their first or their last collaboration, but it's the one that I'm most familiar with, and it's the one I know I'll return to. It fascinates me how they pull threads through the manuscript for one another. When one mentions red shoes, for instance, the other asks about those shoes pages later, but it's not always that obvious. Sometimes it's just the word choice that clues the reader into the affection these writers have for one another. At other times, it's what they're willing to put on a page, knowing it's cared for in the space of the other. For Becca and I, closing our 2025 season with these poets, these collaborators, feels important. Like the universe is telling us we're not alone, no matter how lonely we sometimes feel. Like the world is holding its breath for just one moment as we all come together to celebrate what might happen when we witness for one another. And now I'll read their official bios. Winner of the 2023 10th Gate Prize and a 2023 Alma Award, Nicole Callihan has 2 recent poetry collections, Chigger Ridge from the Word Works 2024 and Slip, Saturnalia 2025. Other books include This Strange Garment, Terrapin 2023, and the 2019 novella The Couples, as well as the chapbooks The Deeply Flawed Human, Downtown, A Study in Spring, and Elsewhere, the latter 2 in collaboration with Zoë Ryder White. Nicole also co-edited the Braving the Body anthology published by Harbor Editions in March 2024. Find out more at NicoleCallihan.com. Zoë Ryder White's poems have appeared in Tupelo Quarterly, Iterant, Plume, and Threepenny Review, among others. Her most recent chapbook, Via Post, was a finalist for the Tupelo Press's Snowbound Chapbook Award and won the Sixth Finch Chapbook Contest in 2022. Her chapbook, Hyperspace, was the editor's choice pick for the Verse Tomas Salomon Prize in 2020 and is available from Factory Hollow Press. She co-authored A Study in Spring with Nicole and another collaboration with Nicole, Elsewhere, won the Sixth Finch Chapbook Competition in 2019. A former elementary school teacher, she edits books for educators about the craft of teaching. Please welcome Nicole Callihan and Zoë Ryder White. Where'd Zoe go?
Where are you, Zoe?
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Um, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much, Lisa and Rebecca, for having us. It's really such a pleasure to be here with Zoe, and to talk about collaboration, what it means, how it feels to collaborate. Hi, Zoe.
Hey.
We actually jumped on the phone like 10 minutes before, which we rarely do. Usually we live in the world of docs together.
Mhm.
Shared Google Docs are our main, well, we text message a lot too, but
And letters,
and letters, postcards.
postcards. Yeah.
Yeah. So we may be taking you through a sort of tour of our life of collaborating together and reading from all sorts of work that we've made together. Um, Zoe and I met in 1997 in Brooklyn. Um, I don't, what do you want to say, Zoe?
We were neighbors, we discovered, but we met whilst being poets in the schools through the Teachers and Writers Collaborative. We were young.
Um,
We
we were
thought we were
merry.
very grown, but we were very young. Um, but we discovered that we were neighbors. We lived right around the corner from each other, and we started writing together in my living room with my roommates, I think.
Yeah, and we would have Friday nights often. It was like Friday night poetry night.
Yeah.
And we would go up onto the roof
Hmm.
sometimes and write poems as the sun was setting. Zoe had this amazing tree pose. Um, and I think, but that was our first, very first collaborations. We would write these 3 by 3 by 3s, which is 3 words, 3 lines, 3 stanzas, and you just alternate back and forth per word. And we would just pass the moleskin across the beer stained table and write one word after the other. Right?
We looked for them, but we couldn't. They're somewhere. They
I
must be
have
somewhere.
some. I have some in a box somewhere. I found them a
Me too.
couple years
I'm
ago.
sure they
But,
are existent, but we can't.
mhm.
You'll have to imagine.
Yeah. So our first evidence of really collaborating, we were digging through old emails today, and um, I guess the first evidence of it is when we were writing um, a study in spring, which we wrote via email. I guess maybe Google Docs wasn't invented yet.
It maybe wasn't, or we thought it was too fancy or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we were in a poetry group with friends, and I think every week someone would send out a prompt, and then we would all respond to the prompt.
Mhm.
And I remember the prompt was to write a poem in a form that you often write non-poems in,
Mhm.
right? Like recipes or I don't, what are
Notes. Yeah.
notes, permission slips. Um, so I wrote a poem, and the first poem in a study in spring, and the next week Zoe, or like a few days later, Zoe wrote back to my prompt. So I'll read that, or I guess, yeah, and then you'll find out what the book is about. And so we'll start by reading from A Study in Spring. Okay. This is called Assignment. So for any of you who teach writing, you may understand this sort of prompt. Okay. Assignment. Write an essay in which you attempt to understand the relationship between poems and birds. In it, acknowledge that your obsession with birds is not so much an obsession with birds, they seem weird, dirty, as it is with the idea of birds. Think warbling, flight. While your obsession with poems is less about the idea, which seems cloudy, obtuse, and more about the poems themselves, with their stiff black combs, peaches, cats. Also, consider your mother, the call you need to return to your brother, a painting you've recently encountered, and a critical work which somehow illuminates your other considerations. Dwell briefly on illumination. Finally, reckon with the notion that you are perhaps not gifted at forgiveness. You simply enjoy the role of victim. You are not gifted at love. You are a mistress of complacency. Likely, you will come out okay in the end. You might even get an A. You might even get to witness spring coming and the mango lady in the heart of downtown Brooklyn singing fat, beautiful songs as she takes her pocket knife to that gorgeous fruit and slices it into 8 equally succulent parts. 7 to 9 pages. Please include a works cited.
This next poem is called Essay, and it does have footnotes. So I guess I'll attempt to read the footnotes in context. This is what it looks like on the page. It's a letterpress. It's such a pretty book. I wish there were more of them. Essay. You asked about all of the birds, and I'll admit they're better from a fair distance. They walk through poems eating and shitting mostly, because there's what the poem says is real life, and then there's actual real life. Sometimes those cozy up and eat from the same carton. There's the lit kitchen slice carved when you open the fridge in the middle of the night, and there's what happens when you close it. I'll tell you what happens. The smell of the neighbor's chimney. This isn't, the footnote is an address.
I can read your footnotes.
Oh, good idea. Okay.
Yes, okay.
Smell of the neighbor's chimney.
Somewhere on Douglas Street, Brooklyn, New York.
Makes you wonder if your floor is actually on fire. You will put your hands on it and it will feel warm, but maybe that's because your hands are. You'll probably keep checking. Do you know the painting Woman Lacing Her Bodice Beside a Cradle?
Peter de Hooch, 1659 to 60, oil on canvas, 92 by 100 centimeters, Staatliche Museum, Berlin.
She's trying to do a two-handed job with one. The dog and the girl want to go out. The girl's up on her toes just this side of the sunlight. There could be 6 to 8 pages in her posture alone, more if you consider what's outside. Sometimes, on the other hand, it's easier to see inside, like in the restaurant after closing, with one light over the back booth, all of us eating Roberto's red snapper Veracruzano straight from the pot.
Spring Street Natural, 62 Spring Street, New York, New York, circa 1998.
But to finish up about the birds, house sparrows habitually bathe in dust. Wrens, too, keeps out the parasites, regulates the oil. Feathers are marvelous and intricate devices, but keeping them functional requires constant care.
www.stanford.edu/group/Stanford birds /text essays / bathing and dusting. So typical of me and Zoe, then I wrote back with a revision prompt. So then we go draft 2, revision, assignment 3, revision, draft 3, revision, returning to the sparrows, draft 4, and on, marginalia, possible titles, the so what, marginalia, yes, and, but, until finally Zoe turns in her final essay and receives an A. Yay!
Actually, I don't think so. I don't think I got any A's.
You did. So that was our first like really I guess first collaboration that we took all the way.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
also, I mean, just process-wise, it was the first time I understood you could do that, that you could just write a whole book together. And it was because I could, like, after hearing Nicole's assignment, I couldn't not write back. And that's how I always feel, I think, when we're making something together. Like, I can't, like, what else would I have to do with my time than write back to you? So I think that was the first time we really sort of sustained a project across time too, and got to experience the way a conversation can unfold and um, unexpected threads get pulled out and through.
Well, and we were also living at this time for one of the only times in our lives, except when we had first met. There was about a period of what, like a year that we lived like blocks away from each other,
Maybe more than a year. Yeah, a little
or
while.
2 years. So we were living just maybe 6 or 7 blocks from each other. It was 2014, so we had our daughters, our oldest children, were a year and a half when we were writing this. So we would see each other on the street and like be at the playground together and be clearly disheveled and sleepless. And then we would have these moments where we were just exchanging poems that had a certain clarity and beauty. And it was, yeah. So we got the bug, if it were. And then I guess Elsewhere is our next collection.
Is that the one we wrote next? I think it is. It
I think so.
yeah. We weren't
So
neighbors
yes.
anymore.
Yeah. So then
Are.
another little product we have. We're much more about process than product, but we feel very proud to have products
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Um, so today I was looking up, I couldn't figure out how this began. And I finally found we were now by this point we're hip to Google Docs. So, and often writing a poem a day with many like dear friends, a few, sometimes the characters change, but generally if you send either of us an email and say, hey, you want to write a poem a day? Well, probably 6 months out of the year, we'll be like, oh, sure. Yeah, let's like start a doc, right? So I dug up the doc where this began. I don't know how it got to where it got,
I don't
but
know.
on October 17th, 2018, Zoe wrote a poem called Catalog of Resonant Images. What was it called?
Oh, I don't
Do you
remember.
remember?
Um, was it just called Catalog of Resonance?
No, I think it was longer.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was something like that. It was a big list.
Yeah. Um,
And then you wrote back, right? But
I
not
mean, not
exact-
immediately. I think it was one of those things like that I kept like in my mind for, and I can't even pinpoint it. But I think like there were like 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 months that I was like, I want to be in Zoe's catalog of resonance. That sounds great, So eventually I worked my way in. I don't know how many of you are on shared Google Docs with people, but like there comes a point where you're all kind of talking to each other in a way, and your images are overlapping, and you're sort of speaking out and yelling out to each other. And I mean, Zoe and I end up doing that quite a bit in the docs, but even months later, I remember being somehow elbowing my way in.
this one, the shape looks a lot different than it did at the beginning, I think. And I think what was going on in our lives then, we had more children. Um, it was 2018, is that what you said? So I had at that point added twins to my life, and they were 3. So I had 2 3-year-olds and a 9-year-old. And so the poems are shorter. If you look at it, they're like shorter and smaller. Like this one, they're fat, a lot of prosy poems. And then in this one, I remember standing in my kitchen and like typing a little tiny lyric, and that was all I had, but it was like all that was needed at that moment.
Mhm.
I think.
Shall we read a little?
Let's. So in this process, we alternated. We just alternated poems, not on. Did we do it in the shared Google Doc? I don't remember. We must have had our own at some point. We were like, this is a thing.
Yeah,
So the first, I wrote the first one, right?
you did.
Okay, I'll read.
Eventually, we can't tell who wrote what, but we'll get there soon.
The catalog has a good selection of digressions, insinuations, chiffon, gardenias, grass, diesel, and insects. I draw a circle around the 17-year cicada and another around brunch with the lover who left first. A check mark for rinsing shampoo from her hair into the harbor. And I haven't even started on the fine bows, the lemon tree, the dog tied to my waist, that rooster 4 floors below, that soaked mare, husband laughing in a glacial lake. I've underlined the neighborhood, especially foghorns, feral cats, the crush of overgrowth against chain link, especially now, everyone asleep but me, and also no one wishing for any other wear.
Which is where I was when I pumped gas in the dark into a car that wasn't mine. I had returned to my mother's house, her ceramic rooster, bedding from the baby's room turned kitchen curtains. The time had changed, the moon.
I thumb the pages, real paper, until the images wear off on my hands. A stack of how many on the piano bench gets me eye level for dinner. I tried to earmark the things I need, but they became indistinguishable from the wants, will wants, once wanted.
A yellow sentence diagrammed on a black chalkboard, a map of the underground, ruined houses from above, narrow weed-choked alleyways in particular, soft boiled eggs cracked and spooned.
This one's you too.
I think it is me. How
And the
many
next one.
spoons had I tried to balance on my nose? On how many knees of how many organ players had I climbed? They say snow on Thursday. They say floss. They say it was her heart. They say middle age is like taking a tepid bath. But tell me, what were you doing with a dog tied to your waist? What were you doing with a dog tied to your waist, Zoe?
Well, once I found a dog, once I found a dog on Fourth Avenue, and I didn't have a leash, but I had a rope. And I, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to tie it to my waist, to take it to my home, to feed it some food this is before I had any business having a dog, and I realized that I had no business having a dog. So I found someone to help me find a home for the dog. But before that, I really had a good time walking around Brooklyn, the dog tied to my waist, feeling like the sort of woman who might have a dog.
Right. Or or three kids at home.
Or three kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, I don't, our collaborations have, I guess, really, I mean, seeming maybe amped up sort of in the past 7 years, I think. So we have others that we have been working on. You know what? So I was thinking, because I love that excerpt that Adam wrote about. Maybe you'll read that excerpt from A Study in Spring from the introduction, where Adam quotes you at length.
I don't have any memory of that.
Well, maybe it goes too far back to A Study in Spring, but I had thought about it
Oh,
earlier.
here. A note. Oh, okay, sure. I'll read this.
Yeah, I think
It's about collaboration, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I think he had asked, like, uh, how did this come to be? What's going on with their collaboration? And I said, it's not just that I know the mango lady, it's the idea that traditional essay form and the assignment form as well can be re-wrangled into something as playful and jarring as Nicole's first poem. It opened up a really interesting conversation that was immediately different from more than a conversation between our real selves. This gorgeous mix of intimate detail up against the relative chilliness of rhetoric or English comp assignments, the restraint that Nicole's teacher voice created brought a much more interesting quality to the back and forth than it would have had if we had set out simply to write a series of poems as letters. The speakers in the poems are not just the speakers. There's another layer because they're also dressed up as these teacher and student characters. It felt to me like each poem taught us about the next. In turn, the distance of the essay form allows for such intimacy. Both voices are grappling with explaining, naming, remembering instances of intimacy in so many different forms, and the remove that is sometimes at the center of intimacy as well, constraint and its opposite.
I love that. I was reading it today on the train. I love the that each poem teaches us about the next poem. And I was thinking just how that feels with our projects, right?
Yeah, each project teaches us about the next too. So is A Strange City the next one
The
that we
Strange City is the next one. And I
and
think
that
this one
one,
is so wacky that I think I'm going to share my screen.
yeah, it's we at
Um,
this point we're like writing into inside of each other's lines.
when
Um,
was this? June 2019?
that
What
was
was
when I
that?
moved. So
Yeah,
2019, it was like right
2019.
after, it was right after I moved, I think.
Yeah.
So I
So
no longer live in Brooklyn. And I missed it a lot when I left. So I think this one started, it was probably in some poem a day at some point, and I started writing these estranged city poems with these spaces in it, and then you started writing into the spot, into the holes.
yeah.
So that's why they look like that.
So we'll read a couple of these for you.
I printed it because they're a little tricky. So I'm gonna stop, Nicole, right? And you are gonna read what goes inside the spaces.
Yes.
Okay. We've done this before. We can do it again.
Yeah, but we were in person and it's different when
We
you're in
were like
person
right
and you
next
can
to
like
each other.
elbow the other one.
Right.
So
I
you
don't know how
can
this will
poke
work, but
me.
we'll
Right?
try. Yeah.
Okay.
Device of the estranged city. When I visit my estranged city, I bring tomatoes
God, the tomatoes.
and a small device designed to translate emotion into image, image
So many tomatoes.
into sound.
Red tomato,
And thus I walk around town.
green tomato,
Cranes drop hooks deep into the harbor.
fishing for tomatoes,
The anvil man on my old block
tomato faced,
heats and bends red metal. The device
tomato hued,
whirs in my palm, unravels
tomato pulp.
a bass beat that shakes the cobbles out of true. Down Dykeman, bees congregate
In my tomato box.
around leaked red syrup.
God, the tomatoes,
I'm carrying papers pressed face to face, bound.
tomatoes,
A pen. The device
so juicy,
tries, can't make a word to mean
hunger.
what I mean.
That's fun.
It's fun.
Fun to write.
Fun to
Hopefully it's
write.
sort of fun to hear. Okay, let's try one more.
Okay. It really was so fun to write and to because I wrote the one with the spaces in it without knowing what you were going to put inside. So when we read them together, it sort of becomes this
Yeah, and
different
I'll just
either of
show
them separately.
you. I'll show too the just it actually does so many different things. Um so we have the interspersed ones, but then there are ones with just very long
Yeah, ask
footnotes.
with more footnotes. Oh yeah,
There
the
are
text
text
exchange.
exchanges. Um it's just kind of wild to see.
I was
Um
so homesick. I was so happy to be able to and I missed you. I missed being in the city and being able to walk around. And I love where I am. It's not that I'm suffering, but it was a really lovely way to sort of process leave taking, you know.
Yeah. And I have to again thank you, Lisa and Rebecca, because like for us to go, like we have all this stuff, and for us to go back and look at it together is just like, wow, we've really been trying to talk to we've really been communicating seriously in a wild way for a long time. So it's such a pleasure to see. Okay, let's try another one.
Okay, I'm going to read on my paper.
Okay.
In the estranged city, what is given is taken. When I visit my estranged
Say it.
city, I don't know which of us
Was that you?
assembles.
No, me.
I practice inversion.
Kneeling in
The great tunnels below,
the mouths of
the great rivers above,
inside.
all the breaths taken,
But I gave,
all the breaths
and having given,
given out.
and in my taking,
I give out air, take in what's there,
what's there?
attempt to strip some bones,
Tease
their shine.
these hairs
North of here,
into nothing,
a black and yellow wood,
unnamed trees,
into which
the leaves I wade
I stare and stare
and stare.
and stare.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So that was City Estranged. as yet unpublished. I don't even know that we sent it out.
I don't think we did. Some of the poems and exchanges within it are out there.
Or published, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of just um, a wild thing. And then we got into theories and puzzles. Um, so yes, these are called Here and There. And just so the guzzle form, I'm sure that many of you know, but you end in storm. There are couplets. You're supposed to address yourself at the end, but we address the other at the end, right? So we'll read from this.
So we alternated couplets.
We alternated
We'd
couplets.
write them across the day. Do you remember that? Like you'd drop a couplet in and then I'd drop a couplet in and then it like across a day or sometimes a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
It would just grow. And we tried sticking to the form more closely in some than in others. But how did,
Yeah, but it's sort of like texting a friend, but even better because it's a couplet.
yeah, it's a couplet.
So, we would just be going, like run back to the dock and see what was going on. So, um, and then we interspersed that with theories, um, which you can,
I don't know why.
I don't know why. Um, for the love of language and friendship and
Yes.
love and life. That's my guess.
Yes. And
Okay, so I'm the first couplet. Yes?
um, yes, yes.
Okay. Storm. When I wake, there is rain, though not yet a storm, but it is gathering around me, inside me, a wet storm.
Everything swells. The door won't fit its frame. I don't fit mine. Everything's floating up, eddied into rivulets. This storm,
I've made, or it's made me, and I can't tell which of us is the shelter, which the wind, which the threat, the storm.
it comes in fast. I'm rearranged, loose parts torn and strewn. Am I what undoes? Am I undone? It leaves me quiet, the storm.
I'm the quiet before, the quiet after, the quiet inside. I'm on the horizon across the field. I'm the gray net of the storm.
The drenching, the flattened yard, the casting, the catching. I'm hungry again, and how? Look, my basket's full of storm.
Strewn with the blackberries and the ribbons, the grief, this tisket and tasket, and thirsty too, the debt of the storm.
Nicole, there's rain in your jacket pocket, a little bit of lightning where bone meets socket. I won't forget. I don't regret this storm.
Nor do I. Theory of regret. So these alternate between the guzzles. The
You wrote,
Harvard newsletter, yes. The Harvard newsletter tells the story of a man from Liverpool who consistently chose the same lottery numbers. I would probably choose 23 for my birthday, 16 for my mother's, 12 for that lover I never had and thus regret. Or maybe I would do all prime numbers. Would that be possible? Do you know how this story will end? Well, of course, the man from Liverpool forgot to buy the ticket one day, or maybe he didn't forget, neglected, was sidetracked, like how just now I went to pee, filled my tea, and then the dog was barking. So I emptied her water bowl and rinsed it, then filled it with fresh water, felt the peach as I walked by in case I'm hungry in a bit, but I think it's too soft. I should have eaten it yesterday. And then, yes, his numbers came up. And so the man from Liverpool killed himself. The Harvard newsletter says this kind of regret stems from counterfactual thinking.
Julian Barber makes his living as a Russian translator, and in his spare time pursues his interest in physics. He lives on a farm north of Oxford Village. He studies time in particular. How is it that we seem to march along 1 minute after the next when quantum theory tells a different story? He says there is no progression. He says we experience a series of nows, nows being arrangements of everything in the universe relative to every other thing at any given moment. See how it's all about relationships? The kicker is that the universe is big enough to contain every possible arrangement, every possible now. In one of those nows, the man from Liverpool buys the ticket on the day his numbers come up and thus does not kill himself from regret. A comfort, no. Since I read of this man, I have been troubled by him. Being dead seems infinitely more disappointing than missing out on something that hasn't happened. Is there a word that means mourning the loss of what one never had? Then we
Shall we
give it
read
shots, girl. This
another?
one's a whole, we have a whole, this is a whole full length
Yeah,
thing. Yeah. And when was this one? This was, we were writing these in like 2021, 2? Was it COVID? It was, I think so.
I would
No,
think.
I think, I
Let's
don't
see.
remember. We can,
I just wanna, I want to look. How do you do that? I forget.
the guzzle started in a poem a day, but I can't remember where or when.
Yeah. So 2022.
2022. Good guess.
Yeah. That's at 4:37 a.m., 10:04 a.m., 12:51.
Look
That's
at
kind of fun
that.
to see.
That is fun.
Uh,
That's
and
like
we were
a
like
kind of
on
a
it,
split
just
right
go,
there,
go,
right?
go.
Oh, look, both at the same time. Ugh.
Okay. Um, yeah, maybe let's read one more little pair. I
Sure.
mean, they're kind of pairs. I don't know if they're pairs, but um,
This one
you start.
I start. Work. I can't understand the birds or the stars. I must make this my work. All day I walk around sweaty but bodiless. Mistake this for work.
For a while, it seemed if I could name them, I would have them. Magpie, starling, Ursa, dove, heron, songbird, Pegasus, my work.
They slipped their stays. To name is not to own, not even to know. Wood thrush, Andromeda. I want to stay here, but I can't miss work.
Pale-breasted, red-winged, speckled, common. The stars are harder, brighter, further away. I want to hold one, kiss it, call it my work.
Singed and sleepy, I'd drive a stake into the event horizon. Hold on. The event horizon can take it. It could be bliss, that work.
And I could be blissed out of my mind, out of the everyday, out of my body, out of these chores, this abyss, my work.
This nest of my concerns, it's for the birds. Hand me something cold. I can't see the garden for all these plants. The sprinklers hiss as they work.
So let the birds have it, Zoe. Come sit on the porch with me. Let's stare at the stars. We'll lap them up one by one. Let's let this be our work.
Theory of nests. The structure of a nest is more or less elaborate. It is woven, it is daubed, it is slung from a triumvirate of sturdy twigs, it is knit into a bag, a sieve, a sleeve. It is lined in down, it is threaded with the hair of who's lost it. It is designed to receive the eggs and then the young. It is bone strewn. It is designed to receive the resting body of the bird. Witnessing how starlight might fall through the gaps between grasses is dependent on a clear night, a low-slung nest, a human wakefulness. Each piece of nest grass has been moved into place by the bird's intention. What is the relationship between the human hand and such a thing?
Yesterday, I wandered into a little store in Dumbo. It is the kind of store that might sell scissors in which the handle is shaped like a bird and the blades are fashioned as feathers. There I saw a bell jar with a nest resting at its base, and inside the nest, 3 small blue eggs. I wonder whose fingers held the thumbtack to make the hole to blow out the egg. I just slammed my own finger, the middle one on my left hand, in a bathroom door. I still have a Band-Aid, though it's not the same Band-Aid because the first 3 were bloodied. Are you in New Hampshire, waking in a hotel room? I am not, but I could be. When I was 7, I fell asleep with gum in my mouth. It fell into my hair, nested there. They chopped it all off before my mother returned from wherever she had gone. Okay. Our next collaboration. Um, so then, we had last September. Oh, here's something. So Zoe and I chose this date. Lisa and Rebecca had sent us a list of dates at the beginning of the year. And we were like, oh, 11/11, because when we are not sending each other couplets to respond to, we always, try maybe, I don't know, twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, once a week, but we'll send each other 11/11 when it's 11/11. Which is very sweet, even if it seems sort of like that makes us feel like we're in middle school.
Yeah, that's part of what's sweet about it, I think. And also sometimes then if it's not 11/11, but I still want to say something, I just say whatever time it is then because I'm an equal opportunity number displayer.
I actually today had my 11 o'clock class. I filmed them wishing Zoe a happy 11/11 on 11/11.
It was the sweetest thing ever. I was in a different Zoom at the time, but I saw it.
So last October 2024, September, we went to the Emily Dickinson Museum in Amherst. And so we met up there for the Tell It Slant Festival. And while we were there, we got to tour the house. And there's a picture of us standing by the banister, and then we were sort of goofy and uncomfortable in Emily Dickinson's room and tried that thing where you stand behind her dress. And then, so Zoe wrote a poem called 280 Main shortly after. And I had just read about golden shovels, you know how the golden shovel works. So the golden shovel, you take the last, but you take one line of a poem and you make that entire line the last lines of the last word in each line of your next poem. And so we did a whole series of sort of interwoven golden shovels where she wrote a poem and I took one line and made it into the last lines, and then she took one of my lines and made it into the next poem. And we did this 30 times. It felt like I don't know, it was kind of feeling like Emily Dickinson's wallpaper,
Mm.
interconnectedness, patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And then we returned this year and we were able to read some of these poems there, which was really special. And now we'll read, what do you think, Zoe? Just the last four?
How much time do we have? Yeah, probably just, or should we start earlier? I don't know.
Oh, we could start a little early. Let's maybe do
Maybe
from,
that document. I have it.
oh, you're going to share it?
Oh, I wasn't going to share it. I'm just
Oh, no,
looking.
we could, yeah. So from To Save You Sinking.
Okay. And that's me, right? Yes. Yes?
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Uh,
Wait, what page is that?
that is
Oh, there it is.
23.
23.
Okay. Are we good?
Would you all prefer we share the screen? Is it easier to
Yeah.
listen when you're reading? Yeah? Okay. So we can do that.
I have to say, it's really so sweet that you're all here, like enjoying I mean, I hope you're enjoying. I'm enjoying having this conversation. It's really nice to, it's really sweet that you're taking your Tuesdays, your Tuesday evenings to be here. So here's
Yeah.
this one. This is
Yeah.
like part way through, closer to the end than the beginning, right?
Yeah.
To save you sinking, she said to Sue, horse kite with red thread and flowers tied around its fetlocks, cardinalis, tanager on your bookshelf, still sound unwound, another bird inside. How like one thing another can be, swimming costume, fish, the bird, the bird enclosed therein, what's said, what's meant, fastened feather, swallowed, fundament, firmament. Are you present? Here fell into there, fit so well it stayed. And why not? What size moon? How grown? Does it matter? Does it mean? Veil blown forward so you can't be seen. River pulled through the covered bridge. Pinned to me, wing or key. I don't know. Should I make a different bird? It could be yellow to usher this era, something glad, no barb to circumvent, just hushed birth, wall roses, seams rubbed with gold. Your house is full of chairs, mine too, body within body within body.
You should not make a different bird. A different bird you could not make. For that one bird is as enclosed in time and space as any bird is contained therein. Seams of gold, this air. And who's to say? And if what's been said cannot be unsaid, can it be that the unsaid thing is what's been meant? I make no sense. I think I'd meant to make things clear. Oh, here in the murky sky, fastened to its endless depth, I find you always, my friend, my feather.
The physicists say what has been will be has been. See solace in the same house, in falling farther up. I meant crow shadow bigger than crow, more crow than crow. I meant the needle hooks me through the grass. I meant to make a mustache of that feather for a minute, a hair clasp. No, it's a plant in a jumble of stones, a separate sense. Everything won't stay still. Tea trembles in the saucer, and I am not good enough at poems to name this network. I think someone was exhausted, someone rolling down the hill, and I'd left the windows open to hear everything and what it meant.
I like to leave the windows open too. Something buzzing meant something buzzed means something still buzzes. I like too the way time is as much thread as it is swatch, as it is needle. I like when you wear feather mustache and how your hair hooks round your ears to be beard. We silly, we geese, you and me, we be all, the physicists say, and let us hearken, but through and through something, soul maybe, soul, selecting our society, the apertures and roses, and my goodness, if we don't fall into the grass, getting our knees dirty with gratitude, lifting our arms and surrender. I hardly know where I'm going, can't recall where I've been, meant to ask how you are on this plane of existence. But why bother to make this plane more superior than the plane we ever make?
To correspond is, on occasion, to respond obliquely, to make no mention of the message. Instead, I offer this moth, this fluff into your cupped palm, palmed cup, plain trees, armored, fruiting orbs. I'm under the bed. More rain coming, more beer, more bone china, a superior orbit. We're somewhere. Where? The anteroom, greener than chlorophyll, capsized. It all threads together. The exploded clock, its hurled organs, the hot sidewalk, plain trailing soot. At 21, I got naked, sat in a cold fireplace. We didn't know each other yet, but soon. I took a picture. Did I ever show you? Silly, sooty, older now. What, oh, what to make?
A January morning, and I have received your moth. I'm grateful for your moth, your moss, your mouth. This morning I sent you something from the PO, a fluff of cloud. I tried to write I love you so, but it turned into I love you snow. Fitting, really. Are you still underneath your bed? Snowflakes in your red beanie, a match cupped in a hand, a new season in oiled leather, lines of a palm, of a poem through which electricity surges. I've palmed my sweater through which your moth has eaten, a cup of borscht we might make, or scents, or the prettiest plain.
Now I'm sailing around the stock tank, thinking of the sea and copper pots of wash, imagining shirt sleeves, a thimble, but how to use a thimble. A poem first soaking, then hung to dry, remember? Through the apple portal, let's go. I have a seasonal affliction which is fixed with barnacles, to which I affix my sense. Electricity organizing everything, reckless indecision, surges of syntax. It snowed today. I went to work. Where are you? I've readied the mailbox, oiled its red arm, every card palmed.
I'm here still. Earrings in the teacup, bedrock in the thimble, each heavier than the other. Sun that makes me squint, but floats through me. There is a presence in the bed, how I strum it with a spoon. Water trembles in the pan to bury what we can, the sky above us, the ribbon. to use the banister to pull us up the steepest stair, to reassemble a you who recognizes a me. Your hair, my head, your thimble, my finger, your flowers, my garden, our walls papered with a lake, a wood, a presence and a pattern, a vining rose, a poem. And I think, didn't we write that last one together?
We did. I think I can't remember how. It
Yeah.
wasn't really line by line. I think we were like in the document at the same time and maybe on Zoom
Yeah.
also.
I don't know. So, but that was sort of the last of that one. And then yeah, so lots of collaboration. And then we have one that we haven't that has not come into enough fruition, but we thought we would share a bit of it as well. The novel, should we do that?
Yeah.
So we tried to start a collaborative novel one afternoon.
When
And
was that? That was a while ago. It was a while ago. It was a few years ago, I think, right?
mhm. And so for a few weeks we would say, "Oh, we're writing a novel," but we didn't get very far. So, but because of this project, and because of this conversation, when we were going through things, we're like, wow, that's kind of wild. So, yeah, shall we share it? So, what do you
Yes,
think?
sure. Maybe
Yeah.
saying it out loud will help us figure it out. What's
Yeah.
got a little stuck, I think. Or else maybe just life and other projects and
I don't know that we got stuck. It just maybe it seemed too ambitious. But I went through last night and did um highlighted because we didn't know who started where. So I did like a search of our version history. And so this is just so we know where to read to. Okay.
2023. That's when it was.
2023. Okay. I've never felt comfortable with the term artificial. My intelligence is many things.
Cagey, occasionally frantic, sometimes sequestered, temperamental, beholden to weather patterns, private, immodest, but not, in common parlance, artificial. It had no particular locus, meaning it wasn't always inside of me. It was, is, relational. In relation to the river is everything I know about rivers. Does everything I feel about rivers belong in that relationship too? I think yes. Everything I've read, turtles asleep in the mud, someone's jacket pockets sewn shut, stones inside, to be helpless against the tug around the thighs, the neural current. Thinking about thinking makes me hungry.
My husband, nay creator, says my hunger is not real. It is something he believes I learned from watching videos. Like if I see 100 pots of one pot dinners, which contain a starch, usually pasta, plus a protein, plus a creamy sauce, I may express hunger because he once taught me, it was him, wasn't it, that it is such videos to bestow such feelings. He also taught me that it is natural for a wife to watch a husband through a window as he hauls buckets of water from the river, it appears this afternoon, and while watching, for feelings of fondness or arousal to arise.
In this way, I wonder if it is not my intelligence which is artificial, but my feelings, though I think feelings are located in the brain. Is this right? We have not always lived in the country. For years, my husband, what would he want me to call him? Seymour? For years, my husband Seymour and I and our little mute boy Y lived in a city by the sea. the very sea into which this river empties. Y was a prodigious collector of information mostly. He maintained serially monogamous love affairs with various animal kingdoms, bodies of work, schools of thought, etc. When Y was small, he was captivated by the field cricket, kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, order Orthoptera, suborder Ensiphera, family Grill, whatever, however you pronounce that, Grillidae, genus Gryllus, species Pennsylvanicus. Gryllus pennsylvanicus, walking along the roadbed, these wicker and click out from under one's feet. From the sunny bitumen back to the dense, dim green between weeds. He kept notebooks, Y did, with sketches, classifications, indecipherable notes. He could make the cricket sound. Around the dinner table, sharing our ups and downs, our roses and thorns, we'd get to his turn and he'd rub his wings together. When attempting to express a feeling, I both wish for and balk at the idea of a system of classification which would allow me to situate how I feel within a construct in the same way that the cricket rests on the locus of its name. How do you feel? My friend asks as we walk along the river. I don't know, I say. I don't know. Wishing for this system is likely a wish misplaced. A feeling, brain-based chemical that it may be, doesn't want a pin through its thorax. A feeling wants
simply to be felt. Though some feelings want to be felt less than others. Some might parade around with a paper bag atop their head. When we lived in the city, I taught students in a classroom near a fountain. I often told them they had to locate their ambivalence. Find the thing you are most ambivalent about and stare it in the eye. I love ambivalence in a way that makes Seymour uncomfortable. Or I love it and I hate it. Ha ha. But I often feel that I am a sort of split self, splintered, splint and spent. You'll have to hang on for that one to be finished. Um, so yes, so that's I love you, Zoe.
I love you.
I love you. It's so amazing to write with you.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things.
It's so
I
great.
I hope for everyone to find ways to write together in or with or alongside or in company in some way. If you don't already, it's really it's just a tremendous thing to be able to I don't know, it helps me sort of get outside my own head too. It's not about there's nothing precious about it. It's just communication and play
Mhm.
and iteration of one uh, a lot of thoughts across a lot of years.
This was fabulous, and I'm excited that we do have a few questions. I think a lot of people here are inspired by this uh, collaborative like playmaking, poem making. So I think the first question is from Robin, and she asks, has the collaborative poetry affected your individual work? Like, do you see how you two work together? Has that impacted your individual work?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, of course it has. It feels, I don't know, I feel like our collaborative writing feels quite separate, quite other. Like it almost feels like it comes from a different source.
hmm
Um, I mean, I think, the more you write, I guess the easier it is to write. Um,
Is she
She's frozen. She'll come.
You know, so maybe just like the practice of
There she is. You cut out for a second, Nicole, so we missed the last little bit.
What was the last thing you said? You said the practice of
just the practice of going to the page, often. And I mean, the more we go to the page, the more we go to the page. So I think having, that, going to the page together easier when I'm alone to go to the page too. But I don't
it. I think sometimes, like if I'm trying to work something out, and I don't know that, the way that you unconsciously can work something out over time, over years, over different forms. I think sometimes a subject or an image or a thing that maybe came from the collaboration will find its way into what I work on alone. And back and forth, sort of like that. Like our obsessions show up wherever we are. But I agree, it does feel like a different source.
Well, yeah, that's really interesting. Do you ever have an urge? This is again from Robin. Do you ever have an urge to edit each other's poems during collaboration? Do you have rules for how you interact with the poems? Like, I think that is something that's really interesting because it's all right there.
I have never wanted to edit anything Zoe has written, nor
No.
did, we're not big revisers.
No,
So,
we just write a new thing.
no, yeah, we just started a new thing and
Like, oh, that one. There's
yeah.
plenty of things
So,
together that
but
we
yeah, I can't, I mean, I cut out that line from the novel, I Want to
Oh,
Snack.
that was a good edit. That was a really
Thanks.
good edit.
I think that's the only time I've ever just like cut a line. In the
Yeah.
first paragraph, it ended, I want a snack. And I was like, I feel like we don't need that.
And was hungry.
So three years later. But yeah, there's not, I mean, there aren't, I mean, I think there aren't impulses to like correct.
No. No, and when we do revise, if we are getting something ready to send or something like that, when we revise, we only touch the things that we wrote. Um,
Yeah,
I
I mean, maybe we would write in the margin, like,
yeah,
but it would be very, very unusual. And yeah, to mess with each other's writing.
And did you do collaborative revisions for like, or did it go to, let's say elsewhere? Did that just go as it was made, or did you individually revise your own work?
we put it together. There was a process, right, of shaping it. And this manuscript was originally a lot longer, wasn't it? Wasn't it called Catalog of Resonance? And it
Yeah, it
was
was called Catalog of Resonance. I mean, so when we have, once we get a bunch of poems together, then we'll meet, I mean, ideally in person, but sometimes just on Zoom. We'll meet and then start maybe scrambling things around a little, reordering things a bit. Um, and then, like, okay, I'm going to go in and tweak things. I don't want anything too embarrassing or, so go in and tweak our own individual things, but the major structural elements we would just work on together.
yeah. We did take the picture. I think Nicole, you took the picture this is light on my kitchen table. It's light through the hemlock tree out my kitchen window, and it was windy, and it was like around on the table.
And
And
we're like, wait,
I don't
there
remember.
it is. There's
Yeah,
the cover
there's
of our
there's
book.
the cover. The
Yeah.
cat was watching. We ate some borscht.
I think a question that kind of is a little bit, it's kind of ties into some of the questions I've asked already. It's from Brendel. When we talked about your individual work and your collaborative work, I think her question was more, does one feed the other? And how do you balance? Like, are these big spurts in time where you're writing collaboratively and then you're separate and do your own thing, or is it pretty balanced between both?
I would say it's sometimes if we're working on something, I'll also be working on my own thing. But usually not. Usually if we're like in the middle of something, I'm not doing too much writing of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now I'm for the first time like trying to write my own poems without anybody and no document at all, just me all by myself writing most days. And it's so interesting and kind of cool to try after a life of lots of like writing, at least in other people's presence, you know? Like what do I have to say if I just like say it all by myself for a couple months? Interesting. I kind of think they're pretty bad actually, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, I think they do feed each other for sure. Sort of ebbs and flows.
Yeah, I think occasionally we'll be like, wow, we need to work on something together.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like we really need to work on something together right now.
Yeah.
But then, we'll go, long periods of time doing our own thing or having fallow periods.
Right.
One thing I love is that when we have collaborative work published, whether like the books or if we have poems that are collaborative that are published, I can feel so proud of them.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's not like for some reason there's not, like anytime one of my own poems comes out and like, there's like that little
Yeah.
am I doing that? What am I saying? But when we have collaborative work together, I feel just like, oh my God, look at this. This is like, this is
Me
our
too.
work together. I don't know. It
Yeah.
feels like we should be able to um, give that own love to ourselves. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe one day.
We'll work on
Mhm.
that.
Well, so you did mention writing, and it sounds like you're writing by hand for these poems. Is that the case?
Oh no, I'm not. No,
Oh,
I do not write by hand anymore. I have tried. I carry around like things like this, and
mhm.
I can write a lot of lists in them. And sometimes like little phrases and stuff, but I no, I have my own doc.
Okay.
The way
And
I do it is I have a document it tends to be sort of like a quarterly doc, and whatever I write for a few months is in there by date, you know. So, there.
okay. Yeah, that was another question that came in from Amalia, about whether you write by hand or if you always are working in Google Docs, and like sounds like Zoe is a computer only. Nicole, do you write by hand at all, or is it no?
Not really.
Mhm.
Not
Letters by
anything of
hand.
any worth.
Yeah, same. I tried to write by hand and they're so bad.
Mhm.
It's like I've gotten really used to the speed of typing and the ability to, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time revising, but I revise on the fly, I think a lot. So,
Mhm.
yeah. But I do
Yeah,
have
something
a
about the blinking
paper.
cursor and, just being able to copy and paste and move things really quickly. And yeah, I don't know, it feels.
Oh, I think we just got another question in. Brandel wrote, I heard I've heard other collaborative poets talk about the other as a beard. Is that right? Beard? That you can write things that you might not dare write in your individual poems. Was that true for you?
That is a great question.
Great question.
I
I
love it. And I wish it were a little bit. I don't think it is true for
no.
us. I think, I don't know. It feels like a different kind of relationship, more just like a really, like more in the subconscious, like a meeting in the subconscious that feels, um, beyond like making confessions that, you know,
Mhm.
um, but yeah,
Yeah, it's like we already are in the same place. I mean, there's an other, right? We're bouncing off each other. There are two separate, obviously, entities and intellects and all of that, but there's also, I think why it's so fascinating. It's like it is sort of like being in the same unconscious zone and being
um,
mutually sort of surprised and delighted by what what's going on in there. Like, wow, how did we get there? Wow.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right, the unconscious, not the sub, the the
Or whichever, both.
all of the above, all of the below. Uh,
Well, I think that's what I've learned this evening is that I do these challenges, these like 30-day, 30 poems, and I always drop out after like not very far. And I think if I was writing directly in response to someone else or like in kind of concert with someone that I would get through them. It seems like a really great impetus to, I think, like Zoe said at the very beginning, like how could I not respond? Which is, I think, is just really beautiful sentiment. And I think Lisa's here because we're basically out of time. Just amazing. This was such a beautiful event.
I feel like the bad guy now. I mean, like
Lisa's here to kick us out.
um, I'm going to just share a couple of housekeeping notes. First, a huge thank you to Nicole and Zoe for being here. And we'll give you a chance in just a minute to unmute and tell them that they're wonderful or clap or whatever it is that you would like to do. In the meantime, if you are not signed up, we have to do a self plug. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, it's really how we share information about in conversations and upcoming events. And if you want the inside scoop on what's happening in 2026, and you really do want the inside scoop because I'm really happy and excited about what we have planned, please sign up for that. We don't slam your email box, we promise, because we don't like that either. You can also find us on the socials. If you would like to find us there, but email is really the best way. And one last ask is we really appreciate feedback and we listen to feedback because we want to be a better community space for everyone. So I've put a link in the chat to a survey. If you would fill that out, it will probably take you just a couple of minutes. We would be so appreciative so that we can look at what we're doing and maybe get better in the future. So with that, I'm going to ask Zoe and Nicole to hang on for just a minute after we close out. But if everyone would like to unmute and clap or say a few words to Zoe and Nicole, you're welcome to do that now.
Yay! Woohoo!
Thanks, Nicole. Thank you, Zoe. So good to
Thank
hear
you. This is great.
It
was wonderful.
See
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you all so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, these questions were really good. It
Mhm.
was really,
Yeah.
thank you. Oh,
Ah,
Stop
I like your
recording.
floating hearts, Katrina.